Hi guys. I think we can start now, and if other people come in, um, they can listen in whenever they come. So I'll just start by introducing our co-host today. Thank you to Julia for agreeing to host this meeting. Julia is a freshman at Doherty Valley. She's a 2022 and 23 JMO qualifier, a 4-time Amy qualifier, and a 2-time Math Prize for Girls invitee. Her favorite subject is number theory, and outside of STEM, she likes to draw and listen to music. So yeah, thank you to Julia again, and I think you can start talking about G2 now.
Okay. Yeah, this probably won't take me very long. I'm just gonna go over an overview. But okay, so G2 math program, it's like a relatively new program. Last year was its like first year, and the G2 stands for Girls Together. So basically, if you don't already know what it is, it's like a 2-week math camp at Carnegie Mellon. It's in Pittsburgh. And last year it was open to like girls and non-binary students. I believe now it's technically open to everybody. But I doubt many boys will apply because like the name of the camp. Yeah. So it's probably still going to be like mainly girls and non-binary students. So basically during the camp, basically the students stay in dorms with 2 people per dorm, and each, I think there's 3 dorms in every suite, but there's only 4 people per suite. So yeah, it should be 2 out of every 3 dorms or and then there's 3 different like classes of students, basically based on kind of your level or where they like think you're at. So there's like last year when I went, they were called I believe like A it was like A2 or like A2, N2, and C2, I believe. Yeah, which is basically, I think they put you in a class with like other people of like similar like math experience levels, which is based on like probably your like solutions to the application like problem set, and your scores, like your math competition scores, which I'll talk about. I guess I'll mention the application process later. I don't think it's in these slides though. Okay. Um, so on the weekdays, there's a morning and afternoon session every day on like various like topics that would appear in mainly like Olympiad math or proof-based math, and each is around 2 hours long. There's also an evening seminar led by like one of the staff members. And there's also weekly problem sets with last year it was like about 15 problems per set, which are like proposed by the staff members. And a lot of the problems were on like stuff that like topics from these sessions. Yeah. So like the problem sets weren't mandatory, if I recall correctly, but a lot of people, like most people did them just for like, extra challenge and to have more fun. Yeah. And then there's also other activities. There's a mock Olympiad, which they give on the weekend, I believe, which is, well, basically its name explains it. It's just a one day, like one day of so 4.5 hours to do like 3 problems, basically. So like a real like Usajimo or Usamo. Yeah. And then for more like recreational activities, there's there was games in the lounge basically every night. That's like card games or like other kinds of like board games. Um, a lot of people um like brought their own games from home. Um, yeah, and that was basically every night. There was also like one like formal group outing on the weekend. Last year we went to Kennywood, which is the like this amusement park in Pittsburgh, or I don't know if it was in Pittsburgh exactly, but it was somewhere nearby. And then there's also a short, like either student or staff organized trips, like just like boba runs or anything like that. Um, Last year, some other things we did, we like visited one of the art museums there, and there was even a few like shopping trips. And yeah, it could also be like student organized. It's not just like the staff like organized everything. You could like always have like your own ideas for trips, and if it's within a certain like radius, you can go like by yourself as long as you like have like a friend or somebody with you. And if it was uh in like the Pittsburgh area in general, you would need to like talk to a staff member. But like there was like a lot of student organized outings that at during the 2 weeks. And then the last thing, this was like one of the my favorite things that we did. It was painting the CMU fence, which is like this like really famous fence that gets painted like every few days. We did this on like the last night of G2. Like we pulled an all-nighter, so that was pretty fun. Um, yeah. And then um, the last slide I have is just like my personal experience. Overall, I thought it was like a lot of fun, obviously. There's like 2 weeks of being in this like new, very like, cool environment. Like this was my first like math camp where like I traveled to somewhere and like just stayed there for a few weeks, like away from home. So that was definitely really interesting. I met a lot of people from like all over the US. Um, yeah, and it was really easy to make friends because everybody was like super nice. Um, like all the students and the staff members, a lot of us would just like hang out in the lounge until like curfew, which was like midnight, and just play card games and stuff. Um, yeah, I felt like there was like just so many opportunities to like bond with like the fellow students there. Um, like for instance, like I talked about fun games, the card games, board games, volleyball games, anything like that. Small outings, sorry, organized by either students or staff. And there's lots of opportunities for like collaboration, either on like the weekly problem sets or just like in class on the class problem sets. And overall, I thought there was like the classes, the morning afternoon sessions, they were very, I felt like engaging. Like all the staff members did like a really good job of like making the topic interesting, and also they like did a really good job of like just teaching, and like yeah, and all the topics are also really interesting because um Olympiad, I feel like just in general, Olympiad math is somewhat different from what you see on like computational math contests like the AMCs and Amy, since it's more like proof based. And so I definitely thought that I learned a lot of new things, and it was just really cool being there overall. I think yeah, that's my last slide.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Now I'm just going to, I guess, ask you a few questions that I've prepared, and then after that, we can have people who are listening ask any questions that they have. So first, how did you find out about G2 in the first place?
Um, I think I don't have a very specific answer for this because I don't really remember so much, but I think it was just like in general, somebody in the math community um just like made some announcement about, oh hey, there's this like new math camp for like girls, and so I just like applied. I don't know, it's just like in the math community.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think for a lot of, well, a lot of times, like especially if you're on an alumni list for like camps or programs that you've done, they'll send you emails for new opportunities that you can apply to. Next question. What was the application process like, and like what kinds of requirements did they have?
I think that the G2 application is actually like a lot less work than a lot of other math camp applications. Um, all they needed you to do was submit solutions for like a problem set like that they gave you, um, which you could find on their website, and then also like fill out a short form with like any competition scores that you wanted them to know, basically. So it wasn't super difficult. Um, I think I found out like a bit later than a lot of people last year. So working on the problems was like a bit more stressful, but like I feel like if you just like give yourself some time to think about the problems, you'll probably come up with some like good progress. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the answer. Um, I think you already talked about this, but like, what was one of your other favorite memories from the camp other than the one that you already mentioned?
Um, Other favorite memories, I feel like I don't know, everything was just seemed like favorite memory worthy. But like I think some of like the outings I remember more vividly, like either just like the formal outing, which is going to Kennywood, or just like going to the art museum that we visited, or we also like visited other buildings in the CMU campus. Um, oh, another, I think probably one of my favorite memories overall was one time me and a few other students like got up really early to watch the sunrise. Um, so that was really fun, even though I'm not sure we actually looked east. Yeah.
That sounds fun. Okay. Next, what advice would you give to people who are considering applying this year?
Um, I think the applications I think closed already this year, but in general,
Oh, sorry, never
um,
mind.
yeah, but I feel like in general, just like what I said earlier, give yourself like some time to look at the problems and think about them, instead of like trying to do it all last minute. Um, and G2 doesn't like like I said, G2 doesn't make you do any of like um like essay responses or anything like that. So mostly it's just like give yourself time to work on the problems. Um, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I think this is going to be the last question. What advice would you give in general to girls in STEM? And also, do you have any like other STEM programs that you would recommend?
Well, I feel like um for like girls in STEM, at least from my perspective, I think like one of the main things I was really lucky to have, I guess, was like a really great like math community from the start. Like I knew a lot of other people who did math, like um yeah. And also, so I feel like something I would just like suggest is like find like try to like make connections and like find other people who like your age who are also really interested in math, because I feel like that also just makes you really like keep your motivation to do math. And um yeah, I feel like it just having other people who also had like the same interest in math just was really beneficial for me in my math journey as well. Um, I don't know if it's not very specific to girls in STEM, but like in general, yeah. And something else I would say is that there are like a lot more girls who do STEM than you might think. Like at G2, right? It was like mostly um like there was just so many girls from like all over the country that like did math and had their own like experiences. So I think yeah, there's just like a lot more girls that do math than you think, and you could like probably like find like your own math community, either like maybe on AOPS or just through like going to like something like Math Prize for Girls or something, or just like going to any kind of competitions, and you don't know, you might just like end up making a lot of friends. Um, as for programs, like I said, G2 was like the first like actual like math camp I did where like I stayed away from home for a few weeks. Um, this year, I mean, I've heard of a lot of other like prestigious math camps, right? That I would like definitely recommend applying for some math camps just because G2 was so enjoyable for me. Um, you've probably like a lot of people have probably heard of them already, but like like Promise, Ross, or Canada USA, or just any math camp like that. I think if you get in, like the experience will definitely be like really enjoyable, and you'll probably like yeah, it'll just be really enjoyable and memorable, and you'll probably learn a lot. And other than math camps, I think some of like my favorite like math kind of classes were Woo, and last year I went to this awesome math to like the awesome math summer camp. And that was also really cool, just like for like the same reasons, just because like I was able to like bond with so many other people. Like I remember in one of the awesome math classes, um, a lot of people in the class like we all like worked together to like compile a document of solutions for like every single problem on every single problem set that we got. So that was really fun. So overall, I think I just like listed some, but I was just like definitely encourage just like girls or like anyone in STEM to just um, explore and find any like opportunities that would like both like help you like learn more math and also like connect with a lot of other people just in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with all of the things that you said. And I really like that, like, you're stressing a lot about, or like not stressing a lot, but focusing a lot on the importance of having community in math. And this applies to like anything that you do, probably. But yeah, just like making those connections and having people to talk to and work with is really important. Okay, so that's the end of my questions. And now, basically, for the rest of like the 40 minutes that we have left, whatever questions you have, you can just put them in the chat or talk out loud, and then we'll answer them as they come. But don't feel pressure to like have to ask any questions or anything as usual. This is just like time that we're giving for you to like ask any questions about advice or recommendations and stuff like that. Okay, so I have a question about like how to balance spending time on piano and violin and probably just like music in general with practicing math. Um, so I think this definitely like generalizes to any activities that you do, but I think like kind of setting priorities, especially based on, I guess, like what time of the year is it? Like, is there a certain competition for piano or math coming up? Um, and in those cases, I will focus more on like one thing. But in general, when nothing's like really happening that I have to prepare for a lot, I have had to like learn how to portion out my time and like really hold myself to a schedule, um, so that I'm not just like giving up practicing one day and then that becomes a habit or something like that. So, yeah, I think that like not stressing too much and knowing how to time manage. That's not a really great answer, but that's really what it comes down to. And like the more practice you get with it, the better you'll get at it. And one thing I would say that's really important is like actually enjoying doing it because then you will want to practice and like get better at these things. But yeah, if you have anything to add, Julia, you can say stuff about like how you balance other activities with math too. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have like a whole lot to add since I think you made like most of the like very good points. I would just say that I feel like in the past, a lot of the time I ended up feeling like really guilty because I feel like I didn't do enough to like prepare for like competitions like the AMCs or the Amy. So I feel like just like if unless you have like something like really important other than that that you need to do that day, I feel like just like setting aside some time um maybe like every day or something like that, just to like do math or do any of, and this also applies for like any of your other activities, just like setting aside some time just to do those things like every day will make you, I feel probably will make you feel like more confident in your abilities and just um like I don't know, it's just like I feel like since I've started setting aside like more time, like telling myself, oh, I'm going to do like this today and like that. And making sure to do like some math at least every day just has made me feel like a lot better, both about like my abilities in math and just like not feeling very guilty. Um and feeling just like more prepared for like math competitions. And again, this applies for like any activities you do, not just math. So yeah, I think like that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. Also one thing that you said made me think about like, for example, my piano teacher, she knows that I have like a lot of other things to do during the week. So one thing that she said to me is that like even if you're only practicing for 20 minutes every day, you should try to keep that consistency because that's what's going to like lock you into that habit and just make things more enjoyable rather than like saying I have to do hours and hours of work like every day. So yeah, like even if it's not a lot of time, I think setting aside any amount of time to like keep that momentum going every day is also one thing that you can do. And then I got another question about like what to do when you don't feel very motivated and you feel like procrastinating. So this is something that I think applies to a lot of people and definitely to me. Like procrastination is something that's really easy to fall into. Um, and I've like watched videos about it and like asked other people about it. And I think that the way that people deal with it, like different people deal with it differently. For me, I focus on like getting the small things done first. Um, a lot of people have like given me this advice, but if you have an assignment that's like pretty easy, it's just like taking notes for history class on your textbook, or like I don't know, doing like not very difficult homework, then starting that first is not that hard because you know it's just gonna be like pretty easy and you know how to do it. And then after you've started that, it's much more or much easier to like not get distracted and decide I'm not going to do work anymore. So if you start with like the smaller things and the things that seem less intimidating or overwhelming to you, that will hopefully make you more motivated to keep going and like keep working and get everything done. Yeah. Um, Julia, is there anything that you do to help with like procrastination?
Um, I feel like most of the things, like all basically everything you just said is um like it's something that I also kind of try to do. Um, Obviously I'm like still a freshman. I'm not I can't claim to be like completely like a non-procrastinator or anything, but like I feel like also if you just like do like Catherine said, like the easy stuff first, then um like you'll be able to like cross things off of basically like your list of things you need to do. And then um I feel like all the remaining stuff you need to do, like it won't seem like wow, there's so much stuff I need to do. If you do all the easy stuff first and get it done with. Um like I keep kind of like a list of things I need to do, and basically like once I like get through all of the like basic like monotonous assignments, once I look at like the bigger things, it won't seem like there's as much to do, which doesn't make it as intimidating. So I'm less inclined to like procrastinate on those things. Um, and then again, I think like if it's something like a big project, if you like commit to like doing just like at least a little bit of it like every day or something like that, you like won't you'll probably like first of all you won't be like scrambling to get it done last minute, and you'll probably feel more confident about it since you know you like put in time over like this period of time. So um yeah, I think yeah, basically that's all I have to add. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. And we'll be here for any more questions that you guys have. Okay, so another question is what are some things you do to solve a hard problem? So I think this is at the core of competition math, but to solve a difficult problem, I think one one thing that you can do is like think about it in a different way. It's not like you have to solve it within a certain time frame or I don't know, you have to solve it immediately and like do it the best way possible and the most straightforward, like elegant solution that you can find. Um, I think that there's like more value to like going through a process where you're trying new things and figuring out what works and what doesn't. So to solve a hard problem, like after you have that mindset in place, I guess like as you do competition problems and practice a lot, you'll develop some type of intuition about like what type of problem is this and what kinds of concepts or techniques might apply to it. And then you can obviously try those out and see if they work. And inevitably, you'll have like some time when those things that you would think of initially or at some point like just don't work. And when that happens, I think like trying to think about the problem from different perspectives or just yeah, I don't know, because this is like a very broad question. There's no specific problem that we're talking about, but just like thinking about it in different ways will give you more ideas. And as you make progress, it'll become like clearer and clearer what the next step is. I don't know if that helps, but like basically just try to think of things in different ways and like look at the problem from different angles to get more ideas. Also, if it's an Olympiad problem, one piece of one piece of advice that people often give is like if you're looking at things like general statements that you have to prove, or like a statement for a large number or a large case, you can look at the smaller cases and go from there and like find patterns that might apply to what you're actually supposed to prove in the end. Yeah. Um, is there anything that you would like to add about like how to solve hard problems?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. I think like the only thing I can really add is like if you're like looking at a problem, just like don't be like scared to like try different approaches on it. I think like the most important thing for doing hard problems is to like just like start trying things even if you think they won't work. I'm not saying like immediately like try to like coordinate bash every single geometry problem, but like um I feel like a lot of problems I've like missed on competitions in the past is because I just like didn't think that using a certain approach would work, and it turns out that does actually like solve the problem. So just like keeping that in mind, especially if it's something like you don't have like a time limit on it, um, then I would definitely just like suggest just trying to dive into different methods and because you don't know because it might like actually work. Yeah.
another question um, is also, if you guys can, it would be like a little bit more convenient to put the questions to everyone if that's possible, so that Julia and I can both see them. But yeah, another question is, are there any tips for doing competitions like AMC 10? So for me, I I'm a junior, so the last time I did AMC 10 was last year, but 10 and 12 were like pretty much the same, except 12 covers more concepts and is a little bit harder, but or not a little bit, but yeah, it's harder. So I would say like especially as you get into doing like Amy and other competitions that have longer time limits, the amount of time that you're given for the AMCs is much smaller. It's only 75 minutes. So, like, I think periodically checking in to see how you're doing on time um, is pretty important so that you can get to the later questions if you want to. There's always probably going to be like one or two problems that seems a little bit misplaced and that you can actually do. Um, so yeah, that's like one thing. Also, I guess being careful, because you're probably not going to have too much time to go back and check what you've done already. So like being careful the first time you're going through. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other tips, Julia?
Um, I think you like said pretty much like everything I could think of. But yeah, just like adding on a little bit to the end, like to being careful. Obviously like we can say that, but it's like not so easy to do. Like obviously everybody makes a lot of silly mistakes. I think it's just helpful if you like at the end of maybe every problem, just like take a few seconds to like think and see if there's like any like holes in your thinking or like anything you could have done wrong. And I think like that's like at least that's helped me catch some like errors sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, so I got another question about like what I think helped me get into MIT, whether it was math competitions or summer camps. I don't think this is like super relevant to what we usually talk about here, but I can answer it briefly. I think like as people probably will tell you, college applications in the US are holistic and they look at like everything. And if you go to and do well in certain math competitions or you get into like really good summer camps, that's not going to make or break your application. I think like obviously having stats and like results is helpful, but MIT especially and other colleges as well really want to see that you're connecting with other people and that you'll take your experiences from high school and use them to collaborate with other people um, to do bigger things later on in life. So, like, one part of that definitely would be like the people that I met from competitions and camps, um, and also like other initiatives that, like, through the math community, I connected with people on. So, yeah, that is my answer to that. Okay, so next question is what do you think helps improve math skills faster? Is it like practicing proofs or doing more problems of the topics that you already know and not learning as much? Um, Julia, do you want to address this first? Or I can as well.
Um, sorry, was like the question was about how to im okay. Sorry. I didn't think I wasn't sure if I caught all that. Okay. Um, I feel like um improving math skills faster. Um, I'm not in maybe I mean I feel like definitely doing more problems is beneficial, but like you should also try to like expand your knowledge. Um, like I feel like sometimes well this isn't entirely relevant to the question, but I feel like expanding your knowledge would probably be helpful in the long run. And also just like sometimes taking a break from what you've been doing or like focusing on for a while could also be helpful. Um, so I guess that's like improving skills faster in the sense that you're like increasing the amount of stuff you know and can like try on problems. Um, I'm not sure if that's like entirely where this question is going, but another thing that I can think of is like, I mean, definitely like try to do a lot of problems, but I feel like also sometimes either like thinking about like hard problems that you don't immediately know the answer to, and just like I think as Catherine said like earlier in the hour, just like thinking about the hard problems like could make you like once you like eventually figure out some ideas or like how to solve the problem, um that's a lot more beneficial than just like um having the problem like explained to you. And I feel like um it gives like more, like it yields more, so it's not exactly about so I guess like this like kind of improves math skills like quote unquote faster, because like you really like understand what you're doing, other than like if you're just like reading a solution then it might not be as helpful. um and though I though it's also like if you get like really stuck, or if you like come up with a solution but it might not be the best solution, obviously reading the solutions can be helpful and like help you gain new ideas. I feel like I kind of went off topic a little bit. Sorry. But yeah.
No, that's okay. Those are really good um, tips or advice, I guess. I would also add on to like the part about reading solutions and stuff. Like, obviously, you should try and like spend some time on the problem before you look at the solution. And also, like, one thing that you could do, which is built into like some systems, like the Otis um, training program by Evan Chen, has like hints and stuff that can help you along the way if you're like stuck and you need a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. So that could be like better than just reading the full solution. But obviously, if you don't have access to that and you only have like the full solution, reading that, and then really making sure that you understand it and like where those ideas came from and how you could potentially like get those ideas if you were to look at a similar problem in the future, is going to help you improve faster instead of just like taking it in and then forgetting it pretty soon after. Um, I was going to say something else and I think I forgot, but I think that like proofs um also develop like a different type of thinking, I guess. Like when you have to do proofs, like you're working on your ability to think through things clearly and also present them clearly to a reader. And so I think that definitely, if like you think you're ready to start looking at proofs and practicing them, that can definitely help with your, I guess, mathematical maturity, so to speak. And it'll just give you like more of the skills thinking wise, like analytically, to be able to take a problem and really understand what's behind it and then explain it to other people. Also, I think that like even if you don't feel like you're doing anything really special with your practice, and like targeting things or like expanding your knowledge all the time, just like practicing every day or like pretty regularly is going to help you improve because I don't know, there's like been times where I've just been like regularly practicing and not really doing anything specific, but I did improve. Um, and it wasn't like magic, it's because like consistency and just like keeping those skills intact every time you practice. Yeah, I don't know if that helps a lot, but yeah. It's 6:30, so that's going to be it for today. Thank you again to Julia for co-hosting this meeting with me. And yeah, I hope our answers helped. See you next week.